In the vast expanse of the southwestern Indian Ocean, 1,000 kilometers from the nearest major landmass, sits a tiny pair of islands called Agalega. For generations, this far-flung territory of Mauritius has been largely ignored by the outside world. Its population of about 300 people has lived primarily off of catching fish and harvesting coconuts. Agalega is so isolated that its only lifeline used to be a single supply ship, the MV Prashaya, that dropped anchor every 3 months to ferry in food and supplies on smaller boats. That isolation ended in late 2019. Massive industrial bulk carriers began appearing off the coast, anchoring for months at a time, and unloading hundreds of foreign construction workers onto the shore. This aerial view shows the island's northern tip, a complex of storage tanks and a massive airstrip carved into the reef. At 3 kilometers, it's 4 times longer than the old propeller strip, large enough to handle an Airbus A380. Officials in Mauritius claim this infrastructure is strictly for local development, but the contractor is a major engineering firm funded by the Indian government through a $250 million contract, marking a massive strategic investment by New Delhi. The new runway is 3 kilometers long. That is the exact distance required to safely operate the Indian Navy's P-8I Poseidon. The P-8I is a modified Boeing 737, packed with advanced radar and sonar equipment. It is built for long-range maritime reconnaissance and hunting submarines deep underwater. Stationing these aircraft on a remote speck of land indicates that India is preparing for a high-tech naval conflict. To understand why they need this outpost, we have to look at the submarines they are looking for. Over the past 2 decades, China has expanded its footprint across the Indian Ocean, financing massive infrastructure projects under its Belt and Road Initiative. This network is the string of pearls. Beijing is funding dual-use ports across the Indo-Pacific. They are driven by the Malacca Dilemma. 70% of China's energy imports must pass through the Strait of Malacca, a single, narrow choke point. To secure these lines, China has placed pearls at critical junctions. Gwadar Port in Pakistan sits near the Strait of Hormuz. Further south, they financed Hambantota in Sri Lanka, a deep-water logistical hub capable of docking heavy transport ships in the central Indian Ocean. While Beijing describes these as commercial ventures, they allow the Chinese Navy to refuel and repair warships, effectively encircling the Indian subcontinent. In New Delhi, this expansion is viewed as a direct challenge in India's own geopolitical backyard. India's response is the Necklace of Diamonds. Bases at Sabang and Changi position the Indian Navy directly at the Malacca Strait to monitor China's lifeline. Meanwhile, Agalega is the critical diamond guarding the southwest Indian Ocean, tracking Chinese submarines bypassing traditional Asian straits. 60% of the world's oil trade moves through these waters. Today, those shipping lanes are increasingly crowded with naval hardware. The long-standing historical rivalry between India and China has moved from their disputed land borders out onto the open ocean. On the ground, the 300 residents of Agalega are watching as foreign militaries expand into their ancestral home. The secrecy surrounding the project has led locals to fear a specific historical outcome. They are worried Agalega will become the next Diego Garcia. In the 1960s, the UK and the United States secretly agreed to turn Diego Garcia into a remote military base. To do so, they forcibly expelled the entire native population, many of whom are still passionately fighting to return today. The String of Pearls and the Necklace of Diamonds are massive, active projects, rewriting the map and impacting local populations. They prove that for these rising powers, the struggle for regional influence has moved from the land to the deep ocean.